Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session created for a client that in many different times in their life had been single-mindedly focused on achieving a very challenging goal. Time and time again, they'd been able to do that, and they'd reached a level of success where they were now working fairly independently in a very challenging sector, but had become distracted by all the possible things that they could do. And sometimes a useful analogy is the way that people will potentially look at a movie on Netflix, for example. There are some people that they have a list of all the movies they want to watch, they put them in order, and then the next time they're free for a couple of hours, they'll watch the next movie on their list. Other people like to browse, and they'll see the trailers and they'll see the descriptions, and they just browse, sometimes for half an hour and an hour, and they never really commit to any particular movie, or they might even start a movie, get 10 minutes in, and then feel like they're missing out on something else that they could be doing. Now, that can cause the reality that you don't end up watching any movie, which isn't that significant if it's just watching a movie on Netflix. It can be really significant if you're talking about major goals in your life, and because there's all these things that you could do, you don't really make any progress on any of the really significant ones. So in this hypnosis session, you're going to hear a slightly different metaphor. And this client had a family member that built their house themselves. Without contractors, they just built their house, which is very impressive. And the point in this metaphor is to highlight that building a house requires many different let's say resources. You need bricks, you need cement, you need electrical cables, you need foundations, you need timber, all these different things. And if you try to build a house without a blueprint, without a schedule, without plans, it would seem like chaos, and it's unlikely you'd ever finish that house. The reason that plans are so important in building a house is because they're so essential. And I would say building a life is almost more important than building a house. And yet many people don't have a plan. They don't have a vision of what that life is going to look like. So they can just end up spending time doing whatever catches their eye and doing stuff, but never really accomplishing something significant that moves things forward for them. So in this particular hypnosis session, you're going to hear a form of a metaphor that alludes to this idea of having clarity, but also tapping into certain key things that were significant for this individual. They were motivated by the idea of leaving a legacy, and they were motivated from this idea of actually not letting life pass them by, but really live for the moments and be present and mindful in those core experiences. Obviously, this session was created for someone else, but if you can resonate with some of these ideas that there's big things that you want to do and you don't really feel like you're making too much progress, there will be a link in the show notes that you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation call with me to explore what it would be like to work with me individually and then have bespoke sessions built around your needs rather than hearing the sessions that were created for someone else. But it might be, given that this is metaphorical in nature, that there are certain things in this hypnosis session that are highly useful for you. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in, I want you to imagine that you're breathing in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just get a sense that tension is leaving your body, but particularly from around your eyelids, eyebrows, and around your eyes. So your eyelids feel heavier and relaxed. On the next inward breath in, just get a sense that a really strong feeling of positive resourcefulness going in through your nose, going into your body. And I want you to feel a warmth to that feeling of resourcefulness. As you exhale, accept the suggestion that tension, stress, and any worries are leaving your body in your outward breath. So simply by breathing in and breathing out, you're able to feel deeper and deeper relaxed. As your body relaxes, I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a building site. Perhaps you can remember a time where a house was being built, except at this point in time it didn't look like a house. Maybe there were holes, diggers, equipment, wood and bricks, maybe cement, but it didn't look like a house. And I want you to imagine that you're back there, seeing what you saw, imagining that place, and focusing on the chaos. So many different types of materials, so much work that needed to be done. I want you to imagine breathing in and breathing out, but looking at that building site and thinking, how difficult would it be to create a home, a house, without any architectural blueprints, without a schedule of activity, without plans for wiring, plumbing, timber, supporting beams. I want you to get a sense that many people are living a life without knowing what they're building. Something catches their eye and they pursue that. And I want you to imagine what the equivalent would be on that building site that you can imagine. The builder likes a particular color of bricks, so they buy a load of bricks. They start building the house, and then only afterwards they realize that the plumbing needed to be beneath the cement that's now already dry. I want you to get a sense that it would be frustrating, it would be inefficient, it would be chaotic, it would feel overwhelming. But all that would be necessary to turn chaos into structure is a vision of the future, an idea of what all these things are for. In order for a house to be a certain size, it needs foundations to be a certain depth. In order to exist in the weather conditions of the environment, it needs to be built from certain materials. Depending on the lighting and the electrical sockets, it would need a certain amount of wiring. This home may have air conditioning or it may have heating. But when there's plans that lay it all out, it becomes obvious what's needed. So the amount of resources are purchased proportionate to what's necessary. Things arrive on site at the point where they're actually going to be used. And I want you to get a sense that if there were two houses being built, one based on gut instinct and another house being built following clear architectural plans and diagrams and schematics, they would both look chaotic, except one house would be built to a good standard and another may never get built at all. I want you to think back to the times in your life that you felt galvanized, that you felt that your resources were proportionate to the demands, that you felt that you were making steady progress. And I want you to notice that in every case, there was a blueprint, there was a vision for the future. It was easy to make decisions as to what to do because you knew where you were heading. You knew what you were doing it for. And you weren't committed to one course of action. There was an ability to evaluate things while you were going along, perhaps to give more time to certain different areas. Whatever needed the attention and the work to achieve the vision and achieve the mission is exactly what you did. And time again you found that that's when you were at your best. And I want you to get a sense that sometimes when things change, we can lose a vision, we can lose a mission, we can lose the answer to the question, what am I doing this for? And when we lose that, suddenly we're surrounded by the chaos of a building site without the blueprints to build a home. And I want you to imagine visiting a future where that house is no longer a building site, but you could see the home built. And I want you to imagine what the equivalent would be in your life. That when you're living your life with a purpose, with a clear vision of your future, it's easy to notice if you're making progress, if you're using your time wisely or you're wasting your time. And I want you to get a sense that you're visiting your life perhaps 5 or 10 years in the future. And you're open-minded to what that future could look like. And as you allow your imagination to build this future in front of your eyes, I want you to accept the suggestion that you are capable of achieving great things in your life. Those great things don't have to be what other people decide are great. It can meet your values and what's important to you. I want you to accept that you have a unique purpose and mission in this world, even if you're not entirely sure what that purpose and mission is yet. I want you to accept that you can create a meaningful and lasting legacy for yourself. And just allow the power of your imagination to consider what a powerful and lasting legacy could look like. As much as it's important to pursue something meaningful with a sense of purpose, creating something that may live beyond you, I want you to also accept that you can enjoy the journey towards your goals and accomplishments. There's no point racing to get to a destination if you didn't enjoy the journey to that destination. I want you to accept that life is for living. And you can let go of any fears or doubts that hold you back from achieving your dreams. Because once you know what truly matters in your life, then you can focus on what truly matters in your life. You can prioritize your time and energy towards the things that bring you the most joy and fulfillment. In the past, challenging goals have galvanized you at your most resourceful, and you can embrace a positive and grateful attitude towards life. You can appreciate the present moment and be fully present for important events. I want you to imagine that you can just let go of any distractions or unnecessary worries that prevent you from being present. And notice where in your body you feel that you can trust yourself and your own abilities to create a meaningful life. I want you to create in your own imagination old-fashioned balancing scales, almost like the balance of justice. And I want you to accept that you can find balance between work and personal life so that you can fully enjoy both. As a child, your friendship group and your social group was probably a reflection of whoever you lived with at the time or went to school with. But as an adult, you can surround yourself with supportive and positive people who encourage your growth and success. And you can let go of any negative influences or relationships that really hold you back. Notice what's coming to mind as you imagine that future life, a vision of your future where you're leaving a legacy, that you're really living your life, not just a passenger in the story of your life. You can take calculated risks toward your goals when you evaluate and know that the reward is worth it. And you can learn from failures and mistakes and use them as stepping stones towards success. But also I want you to be proud of yourself for all that you've accomplished so far and for who you are. The amount of adversity and challenges you've already overcome to get where you are is not the end of your story. It's just the end of one chapter and the beginning of a new chapter. You are the architect of your life, and you are the author of your story. How your life is however you want it to be. And you can embrace a sense of purpose and meaning in your life. You will have a lasting impact on the world that reflects your values and your passions. And I want you to imagine seeing a life, your life, that is fulfilling, joyful, and leaves a positive legacy for future generations. When you get a sense of some of the things that are there in that desirable life, how you're leaving a legacy, how you're living your life to the fullest, and that is appealing and desirable to you, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to get a sense that this is now a blueprint, one of many possible blueprints. You get to decide if you build this, or if you build something similar, or if you build something entirely different. But now all of those random things in your life are no longer chaos. They're the building blocks of creating a life of your own design. Anything that helps you to build that life is useful, and anything that doesn't can be disregarded. I want you to imagine standing back in front of that completed home, remembering that at one point it didn't look like a home at all. It just looked like random things all scattered like chaos. I want you to unlock that ability with you to now know that you're building a life of your own design. And you'll be ruthless at weeding out those things that take you away from that life, and encouraging to explore all those things that could take you towards it. Hold on to the idea that you will have a life that leaves a legacy, that you can be present, that you can live a life that is lived, experienced, and enjoyed. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose, and then return to the present. In this moment, listening to my voice, just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. That's it, feeling fully present in the moment, listening to my voice as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken feeling resourceful, a sense of clarity, and a desire to figure out what life you're building and what that looks like, starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.